Hello everybody and welcome to a new series on Aberrant FC, Tactics of History. In this series we will be recreating tactics from the past and putting them into Football Manager 2020. And in this first episode we are going to be looking at the magical Magyars. Yes, the 1950s Hungarian national team, the one that blew minds with how they played their football. They used a cross between the WM and the 4-2-4 that was later used in Brazil. And yeah, it's just an incredible tactic, and they had such unbelievable players. But we'll go more into the tactic itself in the next part of the video. This section is more to do with what is Tactics of History. What is this series all about? It's all about implementing tactics from the past and putting them into Football Manager. Often we will do three versions of a tactic. We'll do sort of a version 1, where we just go for the literal tactic. A version 2, which will be an alternate, or say in this one we do a strikerless, because I think this system could actually work very well in strikerless. And then the third system will be one that is more Football Manager friendly, in my opinion. You might find that version 1 works brilliantly, and version 3 doesn't. But we will only be using one team for this. So what I want you to do is get this tactic, run it for a season, and then tell me the results. I want to know what you guys are doing. All the links will be in the description for these tactics, so you can use them all yourself. And I'd be really, really intrigued to see how you do it. In this first episode, we'll be using Leicester City as our sort of guinea pig. We'll use other clubs in the future, or maybe even national teams in the future to sort of give it a real sort of fair test. But yeah, I hope you're all excited for this series like I am. I'm going to give you over to the Jake that recorded this bit earlier so that he can explain exactly what is going on there. Right, before we get into the next bit where I talk about everything, I wanted to talk about the individual player roles, just so you know where this came from. So this system obviously came from the 1954 Hungarian national team. So, looking at the system, we'll go back to this version of it too. The players and the roles were determined by the real-life players that were in these positions. So, we'll start at the back. Obviously, Grosic was the goalkeeper back in the day. Just a bog-standard goalkeeper. Sweeper keepers hadn't really blown up then. Yeah, Bozanski at right back. Bit of a no-nonsense fullback. We went with fullback supports because that's sort of more what they are in Football Manager. Laurent, just a centre-back. He defended. That was his job. That was it. That's all he did. Zacharias, the half-back / sort of defensive stopper. He was the he would fall into the defence, but he would also bring the ball forward. You know, Bosniks, he could have been described as a playmaker, but he often was seen as more of a workhorse. The trequartista role is to represent Hideguti, who was just the creative balance between the rest of the team. He would be the sort of superstar behind that front two. He had Sibor on the left. I think that's how you say that. He was often perceived as more of a playmaker, so we could have went with that, but Football Manager, wide winger made sense. And Budai very similarly, but he was a much more direct winger. Iheanacho is taking the role of Puskas, the complete forward who would be allowed to roam around a little. And you've got Kosis, who would be much more of the sort of direct centre forward. So yeah, that's what the system sort of was and where it came from. And that's why this is the sort of initial version of the tactic that sort of goes, yeah, this is what it is. This is how Hungary played back in the day. As you can see, it has got the similarities to the 4-2-4 that was played. If this drops back, it's a bit like a 4-4-2, or in reality, it was more like this then. But yeah, we'll get into the rest of the video where we go through how the tactic performed in Football Manager. So this is Tactic 1. You might be saying, that's more like a 3-4-1-2. But yes, the two at the back, the 2-3-3-2, sort of refers to these two being a 2, these three being a 3, these three being a 3, and these two being a 2. Now that might be a little bit weird to get your head around, but when the game plays, it makes a lot more sense when you watch it play. We've built systems that vary on this to make it a little bit more like what they were actually playing. But yeah, this is the system 1. You might be going, Jake, there's no left centre back. You're going to get cut open. a lot with this version of the system. But as you can see, we're January 1st in 2020, and we're 5th in the Premier League. That's the league table. We've done quite well with this system. It's not the highest scoring Premier League ever at this point, but it's not bad to be up in 5th. We're scoring lots of goals. Maddison's getting very, very involved in the Trequartista role. As you can see, the links are developing really nicely between a lot of the players. Now, for the second half of the season, which I have already simulated, we changed something up. All we did was that. And then we ran the rest of the season and we've seen how we'd done. We'll go and have a look at those results now and see how it changed and see what sort of really happened when we done that. Did it actually make that much of a difference, or did it actually make us worse? Something to be interested in. But before we go there, I'm going to show you the other 2 tactics I've built. All of these will be available on the Steam Workshop, in my Discord, and down below in the description. But yeah, tactic 2, a strikerless version of the system. So, how is this then a 2-3-3-2? Alright, quite similar. So it's a 2, a 3, a 3, and a 2. It's sort of how it works. These 2 would sit more like here. There used to be a position in Football Manager that was there. If I could do that, that's where they'd be. It's like that split striker thing that Manchester United play sometimes with Dan James and Marcus Rashford, where they're basically wide strikers. That's the sort of idea with it, and that's what this system does. I haven't done any testing with this one yet. We'll see how it does. It's a 4 at the back. I think this will perform best out of all of them in the Premier League. I really do. Then system 3 is this monstrosity. Can I pick a team that makes it look a little bit worse? Better, sorry. But yeah, this does then move away from the 2 sort of thing at the back. This is more like how, if I was going to build it for Football Manager, what would I do? The only other change I possibly would do would actually be go all the way back to this and change this guy to a Segundo Volante to support. But we're going to go with the half-back idea, with wingers, because that's how it would have played. I don't want to change it just to be a Football Manager system. I want it to play really, really well. Still got that stopper who's going to try and sit up here a little bit more during attacks. I was tempted to run this as a libero to see him carry, which we might experiment with halfway through the season. But yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how the team does in the second half of the season. Yeah, so I will see you there very, very soon. Okay, as you can see, we're using the system with the 3 slightly more centrally, and we're at the end of the season, and we finished 7th. So we were 2 places down on where we were previously. So how did the second half of the season go? A lot of draws. A lot of draws. So look at the first half, it was sort of a win or lose team. The second half, it was much more sort of infrequent how the form was going. And I'm going to put that down to that it just sort of changed the shape and made Son Yuku a little bit more vulnerable in the centre. And I think this actually works better in this year's Football Manager. I did notice in the few games I played that, especially against Man United, that Rashford would sit in this hole, right, a lot and get in behind. So one thing I changed was I just got Ndidi to man mark him. And that changed it. Or you could go Ndidi, sit him as a centre defender stopper, and that would work. Okay. 3, 2, 1. But yeah, I think it's worked a lot better than I ever thought it was going to. I think that's pretty fair to say. It genuinely has. You know, Vardy got 27 goals, Iheanacho got 14, Maddison got 12, Tielemans got 11. If we go to the competition page and look at the goal scorers and assists and stuff, Vardy and Maddison take the top rewards. So I think it really leans on the individuals. I think if you had the kind of centre-back you want here, right, is probably not Son Yuku. I think you want someone who is much more of just a pure, pacey, powerful centre-back. Van Dijk, I know it's Van Dijk, would be perfect here. Ramos would be good here. De Ligt would probably be quite good here. On slightly cheaper scales, probably players like Upamecano would be really good here. Konate as well. Mukaeli, any of the Leipzig defenders would probably do quite well there. A right back who's been converted to this role, just so they're a little bit more pacey. I think that would really help. Schmeichel didn't play every game this season, but He pretty much was there the whole time. A proper old-fashioned goalkeeper is what we went with. Maybe a sweeper keeper on attack would be better. But I didn't want to do that, as that wouldn't have been very sort of realistic on how the Magyars would have played. So yeah, we stuck with this. I signed a couple players. Corona was the main one we brought in, just to sort of boost the squad. I didn't want to go over the top signing players, because then that sort of takes away from it being a tactic test. But I didn't want to be left behind, was also the other thing. So yeah, we made those couple of signings. Was it just one signing? Might have just been one signing. But yeah, I'm really happy with how it went. So this will be available on the Steam Workshop. We'll look at the schedule now just to sort of see some of the results in the second half. We didn't really win too many games we shouldn't, right? So we beat no one. No one we really shouldn't. That's probably the thing with this system. It didn't really give us a chance against those bigger teams. Those bigger teams just purely would dominate us. The right winger role, Albrighton, was really good all season. He was quite key for us a lot of the time because he's defensively solid as well. He would help out a lot there. One of the individual instructions that we had was sit narrower on Chilwell. I could possibly put that on Pereira as well. And then Sonyuku would be, especially if we were going to play Sonyuku here, have both of them sit narrow. Maybe even have them as like no-nonsense fullbacks and just sit them like that. And that's all we do. That could work better. But yeah, this is going to be available down below. I hope you've enjoyed this little video. It's not going to be a particularly long one, but I think it's a really fun little experiment. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed watching. If you want to see more like this, there'll be a playlist link in the description for this and future videos. And also come to Twitch or the Discord. There's plenty of talk like this that gets done on there. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again next time. Goodbye.